Yep, the live has started.
All right. Thank you for joining us. And we will just get going with our guided meditation. So find yourself in a comfortable position. That could be sitting on a chair, on the floor, on your bed, maybe. As you're sitting, gently, sorry,
Vacation. So find yourself in a comfortable.
as you're sitting, begin to close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose and let it out through your mouth. As we go through this meditation, there's no specific way that you need to breathe. You're simply being aware of your breath. As you settle into your meditation, feel your body relaxing. Unclench your jaw, drop your shoulders, relax into your seated position. Feel yourself supported by the ground beneath you. If you have thoughts that begin to arise, just let them pass and gently bring your focus back to your breathing, being aware of taking air in and releasing it. There's no wrong way to do this, and there's no specific method that we're using for this meditation. Just simply bring your awareness to your breathing. And if you find your thoughts wandering, you can direct your mind back to your breathing. So, a couple minutes, keeping your eyes closed, begin to bring your awareness back to your surroundings. Become aware of the weight of your body, the support that you have from the ground below you. You might want to wiggle your toes or move your fingers and just begin to bring that awareness back into your body. As you feel comfortable, you can slowly begin to open your eyes. Come out of that meditative state. Thank you guys so much. I hope that you enjoyed the meditation portion of our meeting together. I am going to turn it over to James, a healed person living near Raleigh, North Carolina. Hi, James.
Hello. How are you, Megan?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you. Yeah, well, good evening, everyone. Brothers and sisters, we are one. Let us remember our oneness. We have the topic in front of us, healing. And so this is what we're interested in today, healing. How can we be healed? And we remember that the word healing comes from whole, and they sound similar. They really are the same word. To be whole is to be healed. And that's what we're all looking for. We're looking for our wholeness. Our wholeness rests in truth. And the truth is oneness. So we might look at ourselves and say, I'm a separate entity, I'm a separate being. But that's false. That's not true. That's what the eyes see. But what are the eyes? The eyes are the body's eyes. And what can the body see? Can it see truth? Or does it just see what's there in physicality? So, what is sickness? Sickness is a block to the truth. It's a reinforcement of what is false. Whenever we perceive ourselves to be sick, it's because we're believing in an illusion that we made. We made an illusion that we are separate entities and that we have finiteness and that we're limited in space and in time. But space and time are just mentations that result from having a small or limited point of view. We want to remember that the human being is a being composed of at least 3 different dimensionalities. There's the physical body, there's the mind, and there's spirit. And in between those, there's other layers. There's emotional layers. We have feelings that flow through the body that connect us by bringing us information. From where? From everywhere. From the one self. So the Great Spirit is the one self that, of course, is everywhere. In all things, in all time, in every single one. That's our spiritual dimension. That's the oneness that we are that connects us to everything that is, which makes time meaningless, which makes space meaningless. One way of looking is to say, well, this is an aspect of the spirit taking on form. That's what this is. This is an aspect of the spirit taking on form. That's how I can view this body. Instead of viewing the body as me, which is the mistake that many people make, it's more correct to say this is an aspect that spirit has taken on to have a physical experience. And the body is simply a mechanism that allows for that. It's not who you are, and it's not even what you are. It's a mechanism that allows for a physical experience, for a seemingly limited experience. Because at some point you must have desired it. You must have wanted it. And so you have it. It's seemingly only for a time, though. Time's another idea. It doesn't have any objective reality outside of your mind. Those who think time is separate from them are making a mistake. It's not separate from who you are. It's a tool to understand, but that's all it is. Space is not separate from what you are. It's also a tool to understand, coming from a perspective of looking at things from a bodily point of view, and always remembering this body is not what I am. There is a body. It's here. It's allowing for a physical experience. I have a great respect for it. I take care of it. I honor it. It's useful. It has a purpose. And I remember it's not what I am. That's the key. If you really want to be healed, you really need to remember the truth of what you are. In remembering the truth, healing occurs spontaneously and naturally. So we all also have a mind, and the mind is also a mechanism to allow for expression. The mind directs the body, controls the body, tells the body what to do, interprets physical sensations that come into the body. But the mind is not also what we are. It's what's there to serve as an instrument for expression of your will, of your intention, of your desire to have an experience. So we have a body, which is an instrument. We have a mind, which is an instrument, but we're much, much, much bigger than that. The spirit is infinite, exists in all places, in all time. Think of awareness. Awareness is what holds the mind. The mind is, you can kind of think about your mind and think about what it is and where does it exist and does it have any sort of limitations? Do you think it does? How do you see your mind? The mind is what allows for an experience of the body. The body doesn't experience itself, but it's experienced in mind. But the mind is actually experienced in a much, much greater field called awareness. This is an infinite field. It exists everywhere. So awareness is an intrinsic quality of spirit. Spirit is aware. Spirit is everywhere. And it's aware. You're a center of awareness, but awareness is everywhere. You are a center of awareness, and awareness is everywhere. So how do we heal? So first of all, we understand that sickness results when we accept the false as true. Okay? Whenever we say, I'm a limited being, I'm infinitesimal, I'm small, I have no power, or my power is minuscule, dislike me, and we say all these things that are completely false. But the problem is we start believing it, okay? We start believing false things about ourselves because we forget who we are. And when we start believing false things about ourselves, what happens? We have sickness. We have sickness, right? Why? I don't know. People are looking for attention, you know? People are saying, well, I'm not getting the attention I want. If I were sick, I'm sure somebody would be nice to me. And maybe you don't actually go and actually do that, but there's some psychology to it, you know? There's a psychology to it that says, yeah, I remember the last time I came down with a really bad cold, I got to stay home from work and it was great. My wife was home and she took care of me and she never pays me any attention, but boy, that sure was great to be sick, you know? And and you bring it on. You bring it on like that and you don't even know you're doing it. You have no idea that you're doing it. And so we want to remember that, you know, of course, sickness is not something we want. Nobody wants sickness. Who would want it? Who would want pain? Who would want suffering, right? Nobody. Nobody wants that. But we got to remember, who are we really? Am I somebody who attacks others when I don't get my way? Do I judge people when I don't get my way? Do I judge people badly? Do I hold a grievance? Do I say, oh, the source of my happiness is out there. I didn't get that job. I didn't get that raise. I didn't get that promotion. I didn't get that award. But but it's not my fault, it's because of what they did. And do we start blaming others, and do we start judging others? And do we start saying the source of my happiness is outside of me? See, these things aren't true, right? These things are not true at all. The source of all happiness, of course, is within. And it's constantly flowing, constantly. And so when we remember who we are, and that we are the one self of the universe, having a physical experience with a body and a mind, and we know that the source of happiness is within us. It's within our beingness. There is absolutely nothing that you can say that is outside of you that could bring you happiness or joy or peace. And so there's mental health, right? I mean, I've talked a lot about physical health, but there's also mental health. And the idea that happiness could be outside of you is really an idea that leads to poor mental health. Okay, people can become depressed and angry, and people can do all kinds of things that are sort of down in the ditch, or down in the dumps, as we might say. Um, there's people with suicidal thoughts, thinking that they'll never be happy because it's all out there and they got nothing in here, you know. They're thinking false ideas, right? That's the main thing. They're thinking that the false is true. They've mistaken the false for the truth. And so, they go through depressive episodes, and some people believe that suicide is an answer. And so there's suicides. Um, Suicides contravene just the act of suicide. If it's done, it contravenes universal law. Think about that. People don't kill themselves because there's a thing called universal law. Universal law says, I'm going to take care of this body. I'm going to respect this body. It's been given to me to use for a purpose, for a reason. And if I don't know what that reason is, that's okay, because I got lots of time to find out. But in the meantime, I have to respect this. Why? Because it's divine will. That's why. It's your will. It's the will of the one self. So we respect it, and we realize that suicide is not okay, because it really contravenes divine will. Your will, your true will, is not different from divine will. It can't be. So we know that suicide is wrong, even though people do it. And we know that depression is a result from believing in the false, from believing that happiness is out there. My girlfriend broke up with me. Oh, the end of the world, right? She took all my happiness with her when she left. And you're just crying, and you think, oh, I'll never be happy again. And you can go into a really bad depressive episode, and people do, and they do things that can be self-harm. They can cause harm to self, they can cause harm to others, because they're believing that their happiness just left them, and that it's out there and they're powerless to get it back. These beliefs in the false result in poor mental health that's absolutely down. So how do we fix it? We start by remembering who we are. What this is sitting here was created by the one self, of which you are a part. And that's the truth. And a part of the one can never be separate from it. Imagine the universe. Can you take yourself out of the universe? Is that possible? I can't see how that could be possible. People think, oh, but I can leave the planet. Well, the planet's a very small, microscopic part of the universe. You're part of the universe. You're part of the one self. Can you possibly take your little piece outside of the whole? I can't see that happening. That's how you know what the truth is. The truth is we're all one. We all come from source. Source is beingness. Source is aliveness. Source is life, not death. Death is ridiculous. Anybody who believes in death as an end is believing the false. Okay? So remember, when we talk about the one self, there are certain qualities that are absolute, and there's no opposite. Okay? So there's awareness. It's absolute. There's no opposite. There's beingness. It's absolute. There's no opposite. There's no not beingness. It's an impossibility. If there's no not beingness, and you are a center of awareness, you associate your center of awareness and your beingness together with what you call life. These two things together are life, the awareness and the beingness. So if the awareness and the beingness together are life, then how could there possibly be death? That's ridiculous. It's an impossibility, you see. There's no opposites to what the one self truly is. Okay? Anybody who says death's the end, that's it, we're all erased at that moment, well, sorry, you're believing in the false. So if you were ever afraid of something like death, just realize how ridiculous it is. I invite you to laugh at it, and it will leave you. That fear will leave you because you come to know that it's not real. It's like when you wake up from a nightmare and you say, "Oh, that was so scary," right? That was so scary. You're happy to be awake because you realize it's not real. It's not real. It just wasn't real. So what else is real? Love, joy, and peace. These are all real. These are aspects of the spirit. Intelligence is real. It's an aspect. When we see beauty, I like to think beauty is real. It's a recognition of self in something that's typically outside of the small self, right? When you see a sunset lighting up the sky and you say, wow, is that beautiful? Or a rainbow, or anything in nature that strikes you as beautiful, and sometimes even just artwork made by people. It's a recognition of who you are out there. You see it and you say, wow, beautiful. Or I see another person and I say, wow, isn't he or isn't she beautiful? You're seeing yourself in that person. And you may not really put it that way or understand it to be so, but you're actually seeing yourself in that person. You're seeing yourself in that sunset, in that rainbow. And it's a recognition of your higher self when you say, wow, isn't that beautiful? And so that's why I like to think that beauty is also part of what is true. So we have the truth, which is true, but there's nothing else. Only the truth is true, and there's nothing else. And then there's the false, which, of course, being false means it's not real, which some people would term as an illusion. If it's not real, but you think it's real, well, that's called an illusion. So everything else is illusion. Hatred, you know, uh, all kinds of things, all kinds of things that are on that side that we don't like to think about or go there. But people do anyway because they have false ideas and false beliefs. And there's crime, right? There's people who are stealing and um, doing all kinds of things. I mean, robbing. Um, there's people who are killing other people. And for what? It's ridiculous. Primarily because they believe these illusions. They believe these thoughts that get into the head, and it trips them up, and it makes them think that the false is actually real. And these things, of course, these kinds of thoughts lead directly to sickness, whether it's physical or mental. And any manifestation of sickness, physical or mental, is a result of wrong thinking. Okay. Nobody likes to blame somebody for having cancer. You wouldn't walk around saying you got cancer because you had the wrong thought and it's your own fault. We don't talk like that to people. Nobody wants to hear that anyway because it's ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous to put it that way. But ultimately, if you want to heal, you want to see the truth behind those statements. Okay? You want to see the truth. The truth is you got the sickness because you believed that the false was true. That's it. People will say, yeah, but the body is sick, and they'll have some physical scientific explanation and talking about why the sickness came about and what caused it. Well, none of that caused it. That's the effect. What they're doing is they're examining the effect. Cancer was caused by something or another, and they'll have some medical scientific explanation for it. Whatever the explanation is, it's the effect. Okay, it's not the cause. The cause was I gave my power away. I gave my power away because I believed something false about myself intrinsically to be true. I believed it to be true. I am an all-powerful being. And if I misuse my power in my mind when I'm expressing, there can be effects like sickness. The one self is an all-powerful being. You command will. You command intention. You're connected to that power. That power flows through you. When you believe something, that power is at your disposal. It can create sickness. Sickness isn't real, but it's an effect that seems real on the body or the mind because we just misdirected our power. We miscreated by misbelieving. Okay. And so when we learn to use the mind appropriately, when we learn that we are love and that we are infinite beings connected to everything and everyone in the universe, and when we see another, we remember myself exists in that other. I am not different from this other. I can call it an other, but I'm not different from it. It doesn't make me different just because I called it an other. When we remember our oneness, it allows us to easily forgive and let go of grievances and release the blocks that are in the mind that are hindering the flow of cosmic energy and love from source to us and to others. Then we heal. We heal automatically and spontaneously, whether it's physical or mental, it doesn't matter. You will heal. And if you're not sure how to do it, I would say start with forgiveness. It's the easiest one maybe to do. Some people may have a lot of trouble with it. So if you do, well, we'll think of something else for you. But forgiveness, I think, if you always remember forgiveness, forgiveness points us back to the truth. It points us to our oneness. It helps us to remember that this one self lives in every single one. Okay? When we forgive another, we recognize that that other contains our beingness too and ourself. And it allows love to flow. Love is the great healing energy. This recognition of self in another, that's love. Unconditional love. You're not putting a condition on it. You're not saying, I'll love you if you love me, or, quid pro quo. I'll love you if you hire me to do that job, or, whatever it is, or I'll love you if you go on a date with me, You're not doing any of that. That's all conditional love. That's not the infinite love that's everywhere, flowing everywhere. The infinite love says, I'm just extending love because that's what I am. Whether you love me back or not, it doesn't matter. I'm just extending this love outward. Whether you say you're going to go on a date with me or not, it doesn't matter. I'm just extending this love to you. It doesn't matter. That's unconditional love. That's the real love. That's the power of love that heals everything. All sickness is healed in that kind of love. And so we can remember that kind of love by forgiving ourselves. Everything that we thought we did wrong, all of the ways we may have found ourselves disappointed. Just forgive yourself for anything that you may have done which resulted in your own disappointment. And you said, wow, and you blamed yourself for it and said something negative about yourself. And then you held on to a grievance. And, holding on to these grievances, it can be subconscious. You may not even be aware of it, that you have a grievance. And that's why I encourage people to intentionally forgive everything, because grievances sometimes are out of awareness and you don't know that they're there. But it doesn't matter whether you know it or not. They're still going to block the flow of this love energy that I'm extending to everybody. This love energy heals. if you accept this love energy from me to you, you're healed. If you don't block it, you can block it. I mean, everybody has the choice. Nobody has to accept it, right? Nobody. You have the choice to keep your sickness, to keep your illness, to stay how you want to be. Nobody can force you to do anything. But if you want to heal, if you change your mind and say, I want to heal, you start forgiving yourself, you start forgiving others, and you start opening at the heart level. You start being accepting that others love you. They do kind things for you because they actually love you. Have you ever had a stranger or somebody you didn't know very well just do something kind for you? And you're just thinking, wow, why would they even do that? Because they love you. They are extending their love to you. That love energy that lives in your heart wants to extend to everyone. And when it does, it's healing. It's a healing force for the world. And the only thing you need to do is to accept it. And you accept it by opening your heart and allowing it to flow. And then healing is automatic. So let's do a short, I'm going to say maybe like a 2-minute meditation for anyone who wants to be healed. Let's make it our intention now that we accept healing. We're going to accept healing by remembering who we are, what we are, remembering the truth, remembering oneness, remembering how we're connected to everyone by love. You can feel this love flowing through your heart. It's flowing. So let's all just close our eyes for a minute and say, I remember my oneness. I am not a limited body. I am not a limited mind. I remember my oneness with everyone and everything. I remember my oneness with my source. May all who wish to be healed be healed. I am sending you the energy of love. Receive this energy and know that you are healed. Know it. Don't just believe it. Know it to be true. I love you all.
Thank you so much, James. That was really powerful. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I hope everyone benefits and everyone that wants to be healed. I know you're healed.
Yeah. Thank you, James, about feelings and the healing techniques.
So welcome. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer. And it's okay if you don't too. I hope you all get something out of this for yourself that's of real benefit and of real value, and that you can take with you throughout your life, and that it helps you, and that will even help other people that you come in contact with. So, sending you all of my love.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.